Good evening. Let's discuss about a chess game that I just played against an opponent in Lichess. It's been a while. I've not been making any videos about my chess games because I've been doing something else over the weekend, and it's probably not playing chess because I'm not sure why the connection here is pretty slow. But let's just have a look at one game that I just played against this guy. Where is it? Even I already forget where to have a look at this thing. Okay, let's try to experiment. Was it analysis board? Was it game, or was it the game I played? Um, Maybe this one? No. Where is it? Alright, profile. There we go. Profile. Ah, okay. 455 games. Currency the real. Alright. I think I played this game this afternoon, and it's pretty good because of the internet connection. I have to do 15 minutes game plus 15 seconds extended time, extra time if I move. I was white and my opponent was black. The currency the real. Let's just have a look this game from the other. Sorry, I was black actually. Yep, currency the real was white. So it was a Russian game, Rusov Gambit. Started with e4 and I replied with e5 because if I open up, I've been experimenting. If you haven't realized, for your information, I've been experimenting with f5 instead of e5 because I just like it. It's like opening up a lot of possibilities, even though it's weakening my king side from the queen attack. But I'm not really sure if I would do this against an opponent with 6,000, 16,062 rating. So I just did e5 here. And then knight goes to f3. I replied with knight goes to f6, trying to do a Petrov defense, but the opponent didn't really um, play that line, didn't really play along that line, I suppose. So bishop goes to c4 instead, and from this it developed into a Russian game, Eurosov Gambit. So from this, probably the point of bishop moving to c4 is to attack the pawn at f7, which is pretty weak after the knight probably go to take e5. But I continue along with c5 here, and it seems that it's pretty a strong move because the only reason why I'm doing this c5 move is because I want to free my queen up, and probably will move my queen to c7 square, attacking the diagonal that maybe attacking h2 where the king will castle or something like that, provoking the ideas of fianchettoing my bishop to b7 or something like that, along that lines, where I will direct my attack towards uh, the opponent's king side. So here, as expected, the king castles king side. It's a short castle, and the reason why it castles king side is probably because it wants to free up the knight at f3 to take a5 there, and I can understand that. I mean, once it castles, there will be no hesitation in taking e5 center square. But of course I would defend this using my knight by going to c6 and is defending the pawn at e5 there. Now knight goes to c3, which is, I suppose, a normal continuation of, moving two knights together, occupying the center squares, which is, yeah, it's probably a good stuff to do. And here I go b6. b6 is leaving space for my bishop at c8, which is my white square bishop, to be fianchettoed towards taking the main diagonal of white squares. So d3 here, d3 is a good move, I think, because it is opening up the dark square bishop of white, and it can sort of move along maybe to g5, pinning my knight or doing something else that is annoying. But okay, I move my bishop to b7 here, which is recognized by the engine as a blunder, but I don't see that it's actually a very bad move. I mean, like, even though like it happens like that, bishop goes to g5 trying to attack my queen or pinning the knight, I simply move my bishop to e7, which is just sort of blocking it. And there is an exchange of bishops here, which makes sense, I suppose. And I suppose I can also take this bishop using my pawn at g if I want to, but then the knight can go to the knight at f3 can go to h4, and it's actually defending the pawn at g2, which is pretty strong defense for white, and I don't want this to happen. Or actually, maybe it's the best move to actually just, instead of taking back the bishop using my dark square bishop, I'll take it using my g pawn, and then after the knight move here, I can simply move my rook to g8, and then all of a sudden I'm attacking the pawn there. But yeah, this is nasty, like the queen can go here, but I simply move this one here, and nah, yeah, that's nasty. I don't want it to happen, it's dangerous. So yeah, probably it's best to just defend. So yeah, yep, I've done the right thing, I suppose, here. Taking the bishop back using a bishop. And let's see what's the next move. Knight goes to d5. Dangerous, huh? Yeah, it's trying to do something quite you can sort of see it straight away. The knight, quite straightforward, will take the bishop at f6 here. Well, I don't really sort of care about this thing. I just move my knight goes to e7 there. And it's weird because the knight doesn't really take my bishop there. Instead, it moves to e3. Just sort of not according to my plan. But suppose it takes this one here. Okay. if it takes this one here, check, I simply take using my pawn, and then probably knight will go here, and I can sort of move it like this here. Queen goes here, I can move it here. Yep, something along this line would be quite opening for black, I suppose. When the pawn takes, I simply can move my queen here to sort of initiate an attack there, or simply just taking this one. That's dangerous, right? Building an attack there. It could be quite dynamic for both. I mean, still, if something like this happen, I can simply move here. Yeah, something along that line or this line. But let's just go back to the real game, to what actually happened. So after knight goes to e7, the center post knight goes back to e3, and this is pretty interesting for me because I suppose it's quite hesitant to launch an attack, even though it's got strong pieces mounted or post having a quite good outpost in the middle, but it didn't actually launch an attack straight away because it's a bit like I don't know what's the idea of taking the knight back at e3. It's probably gonna maneuver to g, or maybe g4, or doing something crazy like that. But anyway, if white is going back, I'm just going to take the tempo to attack now, which is probably using my queen, and then I'm probably gonna move up to the center as well, or the idea is maybe doing a long castle or something like that along that line. So I just move my queen to c7 here, and c3 was moved by white, which is a strange thing because it doesn't really do anything. h5 now, trying to sort of launch an attack towards the king side, and then b4 there. I don't think it's quite dangerous at all. It's just trying to sort of open up a file there. I'll keep marching my pawn to h4, bx c5, my queen goes to take c5, and queen b3. Queen b3 seems to be like, batterying up to take the f7 pawn, but I don't think it's dangerous at all. I mean, I feel like it's nothing, because if it takes f7, I'll just quickly move my king to f8, or maybe to d8, because it's just a bishop taking my f7 pawn, and it's got nothing, no menace whatsoever. It's like doing nothing at all. So queen goes to b3, h3. I continue launching my attack towards the king side using my pawn, and I suppose it's pretty strong. So white goes on with its plan, which is taking up the pawn at f7 check, and I simply move my king to f8, and there you go. You have to move your bishop, white, to sort of launch another tempo or attack, something like that. Or, but it's well guarded. Like, wherever white goes to move its bishop, it doesn't really go anywhere significant. So it doesn't really go to a good square. So it sort of runs out of attack or attacking combination or move. So now it goes a d4, which is, I suppose, is a mistake because I can simply do this, take d4 using my e pawn, and then c takes d4. I move my queen to c7 here, and believe it or not, I know that this would happen, which is rook goes to c1, and I simply hide my queen to b8. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to put a lot of pressure towards h2 pawn. So whatever happens is gonna be under fire because um, and also at the same time I've got pressure on e4 pawn as well, and so yeah, I'm actually creating a lot of pressures towards white defense and also the center of the game. Um, so see how it goes. I mean, bishop goes to d5, trying to sort of attack my bishop at b7, the main diagonal. I don't really, I don't really care about this attack actually. Just h takes g2, putting pressure straight away at h2 square. The only defender is the knight at f3. All right. So now king takes g2, and then I do bishop takes d4 there, which is a blunder according to this. But still, it's quite strong. I mean, if this happens, I simply do this. It's under fire. So I believe it's under fire. But it really depends on how you see this. I mean, but that didn't happen. Instead, bishop goes to take b7, queen takes b7. Now knight takes d4, which is a blunder because I'll do this. Queen takes e4 check. Knight f3. And I move my rook to h5, which is the idea is to attack the king, probably just by after any move, maybe like this, by doing this. Oops, not this. By moving my rook to g5. That's gonna be all over. But what happened was queen goes to d1, which is quite interesting somehow, because I know the idea is actually to defend the pin knight at f3. But I simply move my king to f7 here. Simply moving this king is actually, the idea is actually to move my rook at a8 to h8 and then batterying up to attack h2, which could be a menace, or one way or another, or simply if the king goes back to any other square, if it goes forward, it's gonna be dead. I'm gonna hunt them using my two rooks, cornering it to G and H files. But what happens here is queen goes to D4 here, which is a blunder, of course. So Currency the Real is making a blunder at the end game, where it's supposed to play accurately. I mean, it's up by 2 pawns or almost like a piece, but its position is actually pretty under pressure because I barter the tempo that I gain with my piece. So what happens here is queen goes to d4, and from this I simply just move this move this rook to g5 check. Now the king has two more moves before it's dead. So it goes back here, and I simply take, and of course there's no more defense. Checkmate. Probably the better move is actually, instead of queen goes to d4, maybe try to annoy me with this rook. I'm simply probably just gonna do this, check, and there will be still a fight there. I can go back here, or sorry, if it annoys me with this, can move here, can go here. It's still strong. Release the pin, and we try to attack there. Yeah, basically it still can move a lot, and it's just weird why it didn't really move its rook. Instead it's moving its queen. So basically it's just weird. It's just blunders that it makes. Anyway, bad luck. So it's a pretty good game because I was lucky, I suppose. And there you go. That's the end of the game. So I suppose the lesson that I can learn from this Russian game is you've got to be careful in the end game and try to not make a lot of blunders. And even though you're losing a piece, but if you've got good attacks plus you're lucky, you can win. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Bye.